Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little update on my language learning, basically how it's been going this month and how I've been doing in terms of my goals for February. So at the beginning of this month, or I think it was the end of last month, I made a video where I basically just talked about all my goals for February for both French and Japanese, and if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to link it in the description. I do recommend you go watch it because I'm going to be talking about all my goals in this video. But basically I wanted to take it easy and start a new routine because this is my first month in 2025 where I'm actually going to be following a goals system, because in January I was sort of taking it easy. So I set myself quite a few goals for French and a bit for Japanese, and I'm basically going to go through how well I did in terms of each of the goals. I would just like to say at the beginning that most of these goals I actually completed near the very end of the month, because the beginning of the month was quite busy for me and I didn't really get to do as much as I wanted to. So that's definitely something I want to change for next month, because I want to spread out my learning over the whole month rather than trying to cram it into the last week to make sure that I actually complete the goals. So to start it off, for French, my first goal was to read a book called Pour les Vives. Now, this was a sort of easy starter goal because I've already read this book before. This is going to be my second time reading it, and it's quite an easy book to read. It's written in quite simple language and it's also quite short. So I was able to finish this book quite easily, and I said I was going to take a note of the words that I didn't know, but I ended up not doing that because there were literally so few words that I actually had to look up, which is a good thing. You know, I'm actually really glad that I was able to understand the book very easily, and it was definitely a confidence boost. So I can't wait to start reading a lot more in the future. My next goal was to do 10 dictations. I didn't want to limit myself to like pre-made dictation exercises, so I started doing a lot more song transcriptions and also just like transcriptions of random clips from YouTube videos and stuff like that. And that was very interesting. It definitely took a lot longer than the regular dictation exercises. Practice, since it's not something I'm used to doing with French. I did manage to get all 10 done though, and I definitely think it's something I could do more of. My next goal was to finish one of the textbooks that I started using in January, which is called 8 jours pour rédiger avec élégance, and it's basically a textbook that helps you write better. Now, this goal I actually did not complete because one thing that I sort of knew when I started the book that it was a very technical book, but I didn't expect it to be quite so literary. Like, the very first couple of chapters are very easy because they're just about, you know, spelling correctly and using proper punctuation and how to like format your writing into paragraphs and stuff like that. But near the end of the book, you just get very technical things. Like some of the exercises in the last couple of chapters would be like, rewrite this passage from a famous book in your own style. And I don't really have a style of writing in French. Like I can barely even write correctly. And I think that this book was definitely geared more towards people who are very familiar with French and are looking to just refine their skills, versus me, who is definitely still in the learning and kind of bad at writing stage. So I just thought that the last couple of chapters in this textbook were just not very relevant to me and not very useful to me, so I decided not to finish that book. My next goal was to finish 5 chapters of 2 different textbooks that I have, one for about vocabulary, one about grammar, and these 2 I was able to finish quite easily. There were a lot of exercises per chapter, which I was not expecting, but I just pushed through, and it was quite fun to just go through the little exercises. My last goal for French was to write 20 journal entries. Now this turned out to be surprisingly easy. Like, I was expecting this to be a bit of a struggle because I've always really struggled to keep up with a journal in any language, even in English. But I actually ended up skipping a couple of days at the beginning of the month because I was really busy and really tired all the time, which is the reason why I made it 20 journal entries and not just journal every day, because I wanted to give myself a bit of leeway to have a day off. But about a week into the month, I just decided to commit to writing every single day, because then it became easier to remember to write. Because if I sat down every night and I'm like, have I written in my journal, it became a lot easier to just write more in my journal. So I wrote in the journal basically every day for the last 3 weeks, and I did more than 20 journal entries. And it's quite funny because the amount of pages I've used in my journal for February alone is more than I used for the entirety of 2024. So not only was I writing in it every single day, but I was also writing quite a lot. So I definitely think that a journal is something I can keep up for the rest of the year. And my Japanese goals were very, very simple. I just wanted to transcribe 7 songs, which I was able to do quite easily. It's something I really enjoy doing. It takes quite a bit of time, which is why I don't do it as often as I should. But once I get into the mood, I can do like 3 in a row, which is something I did one of the days, and I was able to complete the 7 quite easily. And my next goal was to read 10 news articles. Now this actually turned out to be very, very difficult. I'd forgotten how much I'd forgotten. I'd forgotten how bad I'd gotten at reading in Japanese, especially reading very difficult Japanese, like the sort of Japanese you'd find in a news article. And it was very tiring to get through news articles. Like, it was taking a lot of brain power and time because I had to look up so many words, and I was also trying to make Anki cards for all the words that I didn't know, but there were so many of them that it was taking me forever to get through each news article. So I basically ended up limiting myself to only making flashcards from the first 5 words that I didn't know, then afterwards just trying to get through the article, especially since a lot of them were quite long, and it was starting to make me super, super tired every time I'd read one. Like, I really was not expecting it to take up so much brain power, but it was. I am glad I pushed through though, because I could feel myself slowly getting slightly better at reading, and I know it's just a matter of time and practice before I'm able to read the way I was before, but it was definitely quite difficult this month. I also managed to get all 10 done, at least. And my last goal was just to write 3 journal entries. Now this was quite easy. I just basically ended up adding them on to the end of some of my journal entries in French, and I definitely wasn't surprised, but I really struggled to remember how to write certain kanji, and a lot of it was literally just in hiragana because I'd completely forgotten how to write the kanji for certain words. So that was basically a quick update of my goals for February. I managed to get almost everything done, which I'm really proud about, even though I didn't really make a lot of goals for that exact reason. Like, I wanted to make sure it was reasonable, and it turns out that it really was. So I definitely feel like I can step it up for March, and stay tuned for my video about my March goals. I decided to do them a bit separately so that I didn't end up making a video that was too long. Let me know in the comment section what your goals for February were and how you've been getting on with your language learning. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.